I work with the Global Network and Infrastructure team at Google, and I've been asked to moderate what is probably going to be a fireside chat. You're welcome, gentlemen. Okay, so my work is easy. They'll introduce themselves, talk a little bit about their business and Lagos, and then we take it from there. I will go to my left first.
Good afternoon, Lagos. My name is Dr. Ulufemi Moleayo Adeyeye. I'm the MD CEO Luli Fiber Telecom, also the founder of Gox Fibra Brazil. I also have the opportunity to be the MD CEO Luli Solution Canada. Our major service is to sell internet service into homes, companies, at the far end where people can get access. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abraham Oluwambe. I represent Li-Fi.net. Li-Fi.net is responsible for making connectivity easier for quite a number of organizations and multinationals. We currently have services connecting to about 6 internet exchange points around the world, from New York, London, Hong Kong, South Africa, and of course Nigeria. And the reason for this is to actually do what most people are not doing. Gone are those days you have to just request for a service. Now, as a provider, you have to look deeper into what your people need, source for that traffic, bring it home for them for just reduced latency and enjoyment. Thank you. We cover quite a number of places in Lagos and outside of Lagos. Thank you.
Thank you, Abraham. Sorry, I'll just take you up on one thing there. You talked about being able to source content from outside and then bring it to where your users or where the users can pick it up from. This is even before they know that they need it?
Exactly. There's just one way to do that. Where is your traffic going to? At some point, we had wanted to see the possibility of connecting directly with TikTok, but somehow IXPN did a fantastic job by bringing them to Nigeria. We didn't have to do that anymore. We have quite a number of gamers on our platform, and due to high latency, we knew it was important to connect to the likes of Tencent and everything to make connectivity a lot easier.
Okay.
Thank you.
It sounds interesting. You talked about Brazil, Canada. That reminded me of the 10,000 ASNs and all of that. How does that connect with your business here in Lagos? How would you compare the experiences?
Thank you, Wally. The experience between Brazil, Canada, and Nigeria is quite different in the sense that some of the problems that we are facing here in Nigeria is quite different compared to the likes of Brazil setup. Acquiring license is not that bureaucratic the way it is in Nigeria. I could remember vividly 2010 when we acquired ISP license in Brazil. It took me like probably 1 week to do that. On getting to Nigeria in 2021, thinking I'm coming back home to replicate the same thing we've been able to do outside there, it took us like almost a year to get a license in Nigeria. Even, it's quite unfortunate because on the panel I saw there should be NCC person here with us today, because I have some few questions I was like trying to pose to them. How they can help people to ease life. We as a company, we applied for PNL in 2022. We did all processes, the presentation, and everything that we need to do. But just to our own funny understanding, early this year, we were given a report that that license couldn't roll out for us. So comparing the business in country like Brazil, like the chairman said the other time, 10,000 is small. ISP in Brazil is more than 20,000. I mean, fully registered. So I'm not talking about the side hustlers. I'm talking about fully registered with an NCC, with license number, and doing the normal thing is more than 20,000. And the system there still accommodates for people to work.
Okay, but Jorgen says a lot of them are incompetent. There's plenty of rubbish coming out of there.
I wouldn't know where my brother get that from, but one thing about life is you will never say everybody is equal. You can only stand up and say for yourself. But if I can tell with all ease, there is no country in the world that grew the way Brazil grew in terms of FTTH, in terms of internet accessibility. Not even in America. I can say it to anybody.
Okay, so bringing it back home to Nigeria, I know that Li-Fi.net is a relatively new service provider, but you say you've been able to do quite a number of things. Your experience was it took you more than a year?
More than a decade. I mean, the experience in telecom, right?
No, I'm talking about your experience with getting licensed
in
Nigeria. Okay, so we'll pen licensing down as one of the things. You said you applied for a PNL.
PNL as well.
And it's been denied. Is it that the category of licensing is being scrapped or your particular application?
Actually, the last comment we get to understand is the fund that we submit after all processes that we went through, after all the stress of presenting and all that, we were given a kind of report this February this year that the fund of 2 digits in million Nigeria, that is too small to put through.
Okay, so they need you to put more money behind that.
But the concept of, which is one of the reasons why I'm talking about this license this evening, is the concept of me having PNL. If I'm an ISP with FTTH setup, having more than 5,000 numbers behind me, with a device that can roll out, SIP number that can roll out all necessary details, what do I need that much money for? That's my question to today. But it's quite unfortunate the NCC people are not here today.
Okay, so we will definitely pass that across, and hopefully
Thank you.
in some forum we can talk more about that. Abraham, what was your experience like on the regulatory side in terms of getting a license? Or maybe I should ask, what licenses do you hold for this business?
It did take some time. I think it took us roughly about 2 years. We had applied, waiting to get a response. It didn't come as the time that we expected, so we had to wait. And I also had to reach out to some few people in Abuja to see how they could help fast track the license, but that didn't really work. So cumulatively, roughly 2 years.
Okay, so obviously there's something we need to sort out in Abuja. But if we bring it down to Lagos, what are the requirements to run a network operator, that's the kind of network that helps to drive interconnection within the Lagos fabric? Now, we know that most of the major data centers are right here in Lagos. We're still waiting for them to come up country so that we, far away, can enjoy the Lagos type of experience. What does Lagos require you to do to be able to run your business? Anyone can take it.
Okay. To run business in Lagos, you just have to do the right thing by first knowing exactly what you want to do. And you also need some determination, because Lagos can sometimes be pretty difficult to run business. The government is trying, the governor of the state trying to put some things in place, but there are still some bottlenecks. For an ISP, one of the major bottlenecks is the cost of the right of way. You cannot say that you want everywhere to be penetrated, and then the cost of having to build the fiber is so high. At some point, we even learned that the state wanted some kind of a unified fiber project, but how many companies can really afford what's being charged? The whole essence was to keep everyone from digging. But then the price tag on it would definitely encourage a whole lot of people to dig more.
But is that program still running? Because last year we had a presentation from La Simra, I think is the agency, and they sold us the idea of multiple ducts, dig once, and so what's happening right now?
The program is still running. La Simra is doing a fantastic job, but more just needs to be done. Right of way is still being issued. People are still being able to do the work. But if the price can come down a bit more, we will have better penetration. As it is right now, it's pretty difficult to do business.
Okay, so just to help my understanding, there's a program where there are multiple ducts laid, but I can still opt to dig along that same route, or do I have to go somewhere else that they've not covered and I pay a right of way for it?
Yes, I'm just going to support what my brother here just mentioned, which is right of way in Lagos, because I was opportune to be here last year, the last edition, and if I could remember vividly, Josephine was sitting down there, Mommy Funke was here. I think you were at the middle. Then
Nikki
we have
there,
Nikki was here.
and Johnson.
Johnson was here on the
Okay,
other
so you
side.
remember.
There is one simple thing that everybody has been complaining about: right of way. Using myself as an example, before coming to say, okay, I want to set up in Nigeria, everybody has been complaining about right of way. Imo states have their own right of way. In terms of number, it's different from Oyo State. Oyo is different from Lagos State. And we've been complaining about that, which is why I mentioned earlier on that the life outside is way easier than Nigeria. Okay, when we are talking about right of way, what has the NCC been doing? Because we've been talking about this thing. NCC team will be here to help us out. We can cry from today to tomorrow. Next year, I can bet we are going to be here. Probably you'll be here, Wale. And you're still going to ask the same question. What are our challenges? Our challenges is right of way is too expensive. Okay, apart from the right of way, if you get the right of way, I think Lagos State today is charging digging for 14,000 naira, area cable for 1,000 something. Last week there is increase in price. If you don't know, I know.
Okay.
Because I have a project to execute. So the price is changing every day. And this is not even giving us the chance or the opportunity to think about how we can grow the business. If you understand that there is a vision from the NCC, from the commission, stating that we have a vision 2022, the goalpost was shifted to 2025 in order to expand broadband. But I can bet you this goalpost, someone will help us shift again to 2030 because of the bureaucracy around the right of way.
Okay, so we're shifting goalposts on getting the broadband, and we're saying something that is different from what we're doing. So we had the representative of the governor here this morning, and the sense I got was that they'd like to see us grow the digital infrastructure so that we can grow digital economies. I see Matthew somewhere down there, so maybe this is why he's staying away from Lagos. He's set up ISPs, and they've grown really fast elsewhere. I wonder if that's the kind of thing that is keeping people away.
Yeah, mostly, if I'm going to tell you about Lagos, Lagos is a good place to do business. If you can excel in Lagos, I can bet you anywhere you're going to, there is success. But we are complaining about one thing, majorly, the right of way. And we've been doing this, making these complaints on and on again. We want a team, an agency that can listen and help us out. Because if today you have your right of way to fly, there's another problem. If you're flying, the discos, or let me call them the concession, the energy concession, you can't use their pole because there is a rule from their own table saying you cannot fly on their pole, whereas you have right of way to fly from the government.
Okay, so you need to set up new poles for the aerial fiber?
That is what is happening. And I can't imagine if we are having 300 ISP nationwide, everybody have the right to come to Lagos to run business. There is no infrastructure. Even with the money that you're paying, you cannot say, okay, I want to erupt pole, or I'm setting up my own pole. If I'm setting up my own pole, Live is setting his own pole. We have more other 290, whatever, that is going to do the same thing.
So are you guys sharing poles anywhere?
Not yet.
Okay, so the current situation is you want to do aerial fiber somewhere. If you can't pay the electricity company for the second right of way.
Yeah, you can't even use it. It's not about paying.
Doing area fiber is good, but it's kind of a bit susceptible to what's the English word now? Vandalism.
Okay.
You know, I'm sorry, we have a case where you could just see someone that needs some form of iron, sees your fiber and believes that's his source, that there is a copper in there, and the next thing they just rip it off.
Okay.
That happens in Lagos. Some of the times you have some guys who are a bit tired of situation, they just cut your cable. And they're not going to run away, they're actually going to wait for you to come. And you have to pay some kind of levy to fix it back.
Okay, so Lagos is getting more interesting.
Oh, there is another. Someone could decide to look at your manhole cover. If you're lucky, you will still meet the cement because they have already removed the iron.
Okay.
And this happens all the time. One rainfall, your entire duct is blocked.
Okay.
These are some of the challenges we're facing. And that's even if you have the money to actually do such projects. In Nigeria today, I have not seen one single bank that toes the path of infrastructure building. Most banks are ready to give you a short-term loan for your long-term projects. So if you're ready to jump off the bus, you take the bait, and your phone is never going to stop ringing. That's not in place. Even if it's in place, the rates are too high. These are real issues, and except someone is ready to do something about them, we really can't make much progress.
Okay, so Professor Wale, Mr. Rudman, Joshua, we need to get the bankers in the house so that they can be here when we're having these conversations. Or you smile, you've made too many presentations?
Yeah, because, no, I actually don't have any presentation or made any presentation, but I'm just reasoning behind my mind. how we can operate in an environment where there is no credit facility for anybody, where there is no one to stand up and say, okay, let's support the startup or the people that are trying to help actualize the vision of the commission. And with that, we have another parastatals, certain funds, high number for right of way. We know these problems are here, and it's painful that we are here last year, previous year, the same question was posed, and the same response came out. And this year, again, we're saying the same thing. We want someone. We want a commission that can stand for us, that can say, okay, come here. Okay, we were talking about Brazil the other time. Pardon me to lay an example. Telebras, Telefonica used to plant their own pole. But the commission, Anatel, stood by the ISPs and called the concession into order and said, okay, give us a standard of this height, of this structure. This is the level of your own cable. The distance between your own cable and the ISP, this is the distance. Then you can accommodate up to 5 or 6 ISP. ISP submit their projects. You charge them this exact amount, not more, not less, and things are working up to today.
So the regulator started that process.
Exactly. Until today, there is an agreement between Anatel and NL to run this for the ISP. And before you know, I just thank God that I was opportune to live through all this process from radio 2.4 to 5.8, from 5.8 to PAC-PON to GPON. And these things happened like in 3 years.
Okay. So from your knowledge of the Nigerian environment and the different players that are in it, who do you think are best placed to help make things like this happen? And let's start from Lagos.
Okay.
Before we go to the other.
No, the first person that is closer to everybody here, that is joining us together here, is just one commission, NCC.
Okay. If
NCC can stood by us and say, okay, these are the problem that we're having. Thank God there is a law, oncoming law, that says the fiber optic should be like government asset or something. Those are one of the policy. If this can be implemented, if there is someone that commented here that Obasanjo mentioned that Nigeria is a place where there are good policies, but implementing them is the problem. Now, if, like my brother just mentioned something, that people will be sitting down in one angle. They are going to see fiber optic cable. They will deliberately cut it and see it for your team, for your field engineers to come so that they can task, and there is nothing you can do.
So it's an insecurity problem again.
So those are things, okay, if there is a law that can kick against that, even if someone is in one angle asking for money, I can easily pick up my phone and call the authority against the person. These are things that will make our life easy. Then I can now say, okay, I want to invest maybe 300 kilometer cable. I know where I'm going to do it. I know I have rest of mind. There is no any other extra charges like or money charges.
Okay. All right. So we'll take it to the operators, and if there's any regulator on the floor to take. Okay. So now you called out something. Last year we looked at these same problems. We had the regulator in the building, but I don't think that, so for like the example with the aerial fiber and electricity concessionaires, I don't think we pushed such a solution to them. And I think the more specific we are about our asks, the more likely it is that they can work towards solutions. So I think we'll take note of that, which is coordinate for us. Let us figure out how we can set standards and make it possible for us to use existing infrastructure. I wanted to ask Mr. Rudman, yes, now he's back with us, about critical national infrastructure. A designation of telecom infrastructure as critical national infrastructure. Is there any way that we can use that? I think it was passed into law. We can use that to protect infrastructure around. And I think the CTO of BCN has something he wants to contribute. Please, can we get a mic for Mohammed? Do you want to speak?
Yes, the critical national infrastructure bill has been passed. The idea is that critical infrastructure will be identified, especially sites of national gateways, landing stations, data centers, those that are critical, that their downtime will impact the nation. And the idea of that is that it's a kind of a fire brigade approach where when there is an emergency, government will gather resources to move forward to ensure the security and safety of those sites. It's not that they are going to have people on standby in all those data centers guarding so no one attacks. So in case there is a riot in Lagos and it's happening around the sites, those data centers can now have access to a call center where resources will be mobilized to protect those data centers. There is a riot, there is no diesel in town, and the data centers need to run. They can reach out to government. Government can mobilize resources to ensure that that data center continues to run. So okay. Yes, even if that bill is passed, the problem is that we do not have enough security personnel in Nigeria to do that protection. More critical than the fiber optic cables is the pipeline that is going, you know what's happening. So massive pipelines, people are phoning. Nigeria cannot even meet the target of the 2.2 million barrels by OPEC. Is right now at 1.6 million barrels. It has reached all the way to 900,000 barrels. And yet we have all the security agencies and nothing has happened. So even though that bill is passed, honestly, on my side, I don't think implementing and ensuring security of fiber optic networks will be done, so that whenever there is a fiber cut, you can reach out and say that's a critical national infrastructure. I doubt that. I hope I have answered your question.
I was looking for hope.
Hope, yes. No, the hope, honestly, what needs to be done is that the industry needs to rally around and have a voice, and two, they need to collaborate in terms of sharing of fiber infrastructure. If you look at Lagos here, you will see on the same route, Third Mainland Bridge, how many operators are running fiber links on that bridge. And it's something that they can share, and other people can go alternate routes, and then they can share between themselves, instead of each one independently trying to run their own link. So I think the industry needs to rally around. It's tough for everyone. So I think collaboration is the answer. And then this advocacy that we are doing, I know some people feel frustrated. We keep talking about these things. We can't give up hope. The only thing we can do is to keep talking, sensitizing, talking about it, so that one day we can get a listening ear in government and they might actually do something about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. So I'm hoping that the people who have been meeting over the last couple of hours have not only been thinking about buying and selling, but also collaboration towards solving issues like this. Yes, sir. Please go ahead. I know you've done some partnerships.
Yeah. So I was really intrigued with the discussion going on. I very much, I can relate the frustration. I can hear it from your voice. Right of way, though, just to put a little hope there, I know there's some states that are doing free right of way, right? Just to be able to encourage ISPs to be able to come to their states and be able to increase internet penetration. However, I think states that are already making money out of it, they are so used to that revenue, they don't want to lose it, right? However, I think we can now engage them that, hey, the money you're even taking, what are you using it for? Now imagine if Lagos State is taking that money, protecting all the fiber, you have less cuts, there's no flooding, people are not stealing your manhole covers. It would be great that you're getting value for money, right? So that's what I think. However, I like what he said, Mohammed said about the law. That law is fantastic, but it doesn't have the element of penalty. What do I mean? If somebody, there was a fiber, I had to fly fiber. Underground fiber got damaged, we had to fly it temporarily. Guess what happened? We spent money to fly it. The following day, somebody went to cut it. And I honestly, I had to go there physically to, why would you cut something that's flying? Right? And the security man said, it's my landlord that cut it off. He doesn't want something flying over his car. I said, what does the cable in the air, what is it going to do to your car? And this cable is serving people in your community, right? By the time I explained that, we flew it again. Thank God they didn't cut it again, right? So the NCC, the regulatory body, the regulatory society needs to be very intentional and active. And I personally, I feel because they are not consuming the service as much as they ought to, they don't feel that pain because it's more private sector driven. Imagine all the hospitals in Nigeria are on the network and everything drops. That's going to be a huge impact on them. So I think we need to try to engage government to adopt more, drive the digital economy more. When they see that value, they will put more interest in fiber infrastructure. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So we're back to adoption so that there are use cases and then people can feel it. I think also from the example you gave, there might also be an enlightenment and sensitization gap so that when we're running infrastructure, people understand what it's serving. And that might also work for the people who cut to steal. Like maybe we go around showing them there's nothing inside this thing. Yes, Reverend Sunday. In the front. Oh, okay, the mic is at the back there. Please go ahead, and then after you.
Sorry, hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jude, I'm actually from Broad-Based. So sorry, I actually wanted to say some things. I actually listened to both of you, since we're talking about ISPs here and also the broadband. But I think we're not really addressing the issue as it should be because we're looking at it from one side. Take note, I'm not from the commission. I'm actually from a metro fiber provider as well. But part of the issues coming from broad-based, part of the issues we've actually experienced so far, it's not just the government alone that has to fix it. We as ISPs, as broadband providers, as metro fiber providers, if you look at the data cores, they're kind of more organized than the ISPs itself. We have a lot of ISPs that are out there today talking about what the Amazon guy said. Competence is actually one of the biggest problems that we have in this space because you have a lot of persons who are going into the ISP business without clear vision of what they want to do. Yes, right-of-ways are expensive. Laying your cables are also very expensive, but let's look at it on the other side. Part of the destructions we've gotten on the fiber aspect is not just only from the government, we also get that from ISPs as well. I can give you a typical example of myself. I've had to deal with a fellow ISP who went to drill, knowing fully well that their infrastructure is going through that particular route, somewhere around VI, and they damaged our infrastructure. And we went to them and said, okay, fine, fix this issue, and they left it. It was there for months without anything being done. So if we are actually looking at the commission to step in, how about we, the ISPs ourselves? The destructions we're doing to ourselves is even way more than what even the area boss will do. Because 90% of the time, I can tell you, part of the destruction I've gotten on my infrastructure in Lekki, in Aja, in Rack Center, towards those axes, are coming from fellow IXPs. And you find out that the reason why they're doing these things, I don't know, maybe it's because of competition and all that. I feel competition is good, but it is only good and healthy when it's done reasonably. So we can't be talking about the NCC coming to regulate. So we're not going to be regulating people who are not even collaborating with themselves, just like what Mr. Mohammed said. We need to be able to collaborate as well. So if we're going to be talking about government stepping in, we ourselves as ISPs, we also need to look at what we are also doing to ourselves. We are not helping each other grow. So I think we should look at it in a broader aspect, look at it on both sides, not just on one angle. That's what I actually wanted to add. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So shall we start to name and shame those who, in doing their work, disrupt other people's services, so that when your boys also do it to somebody else's network, we can know that?
I can tell you, for broad-based, we won't destroy your cable. That's one thing I can guarantee you for, if you're an ISP in this place. Because, first of all, we don't do overhead cabling in broad-based. All our cables are actually done with horizontal directional drilling. And we drill every single aspect. And we know how expensive it is to actually build those infrastructure. We have cable infrastructure across the whole of Lagos. And they are very expensive. And today you find incompetent hands from other ISPs that are coming into the same space, disrupting your services, bringing down your network, without having to even, the conscience to even write to you to say, oh, we've damaged your infrastructure. Government won't come into a case like that. You have to fix it yourself. You write to the commission does nothing about it. But it is only reasonable for you to know that, oh, this person is also doing the same business as me, and we all want to grow. So if we want to grow, let's not leave it only to the government. Let's also bring it to ourselves and also shame ourselves as well. So I just think that's the best approach we should use on this issue as well.
Okay, thanks. So Abraham had a reaction, and then Reverend Sunday.
Okay, thank you. The issues you raised are quite heavy, and it's just the truth. A lot of competition going on here and there. And we have to do more. Do more in the sense that we have to be able to protect one another. A whole lot of things are going wrong in the industry. The competition really is very, very high. Competition does not even stop at cable cutting or infrastructure destruction. Even from the data center level, there are a lot of competition. For instance, a single fiber can handle over 44 terabytes of data. You want to start something out, then you speak to an ISP, and the next thing you're hearing that, oh, for just 1 gig of layer 2, you have to pay me 1 million. You have to pay me 700,000. That's also part of destruction. That's the truth. We do things differently. As a matter of fact, we work with your budgets. That's where we are different. We don't have to be like others. We have to do things differently in order to get a different result. People cannot sit in their offices and begin to expect that government will do everything. We also have to be responsible. Why would people just go and dig? There needs to be someone also monitoring that. Anybody can wake up anywhere. And you know the sad part of most of these jobs are done at night. When people are sleeping, you won't find last mirror, you won't find anybody. They cause the havoc and they just simply walk away. So if we can also watch each other's infrastructure and also report those that are doing bad things, it will make life easier for everyone. government really won't do everything. I believe with this, we can make a difference. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone. Reverend.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Sunday Folayan is my name. The topic is kind of interesting, and there are too many issues involved. And if you are not careful, you would be chasing one, leaving others. We're very lucky. Fiber has no market value. Those who cut it because they want to cut it. Copper is a different ball game. Aluminium is another ball game. They melt it to make money. So the sabotage you see with fiber is not the same as the sabotage you see with copper and aluminium. So we're talking of industrial sabotage only if your competitors are cutting your cables. That's not as much problem because you can identify them, name them, and shame them. And that can happen within the industry association because it's just a matter of recognizing patterns. Once you recognize the pattern, you'll be able to solve that problem. In terms of multiple companies laying fiber, we need to engage government so that they see that there is an alternative to collecting right-of-way from multiple entities. It's so sweet to get right-of-way. So you can give 20 people right-of-way on the same route. Of course, they will dig each other's cables, all right? Now, because we're also quickly rolling out, most often the builds are temporary, and it gets neglected and ignored. So when the state is building their roads, they uproot the cables. And of course, there's not much you can do about it because you didn't build ducts, you didn't prepare for a long-term construction. Then there is the part that there is government inaction. The regulator right now is chasing Starlink. Starlink is ignoring the regulator. We'll watch how that ends. It looks like a season film. But if there is a concerted approach that this is where we're going, this is how we'll get there, all hands are on deck, it becomes easier to achieve that. So we also need to engage government. Now, this is where the operators need to be a bit generous. Don't run cable spans for long distance, go past schools, go past hospitals without dropping points there. For free, write it off as CSR. The truth is that when government services run on your infrastructure, if there's any problem, they would be chasing the saboteurs, not you. Proof of this is, if somebody gets killed today, police will be dragging their feet to find the killers. Let a police officer be killed now. Within 12 hours, the killers will be paraded. They are super efficient when they are involved and affected. And the same thing goes to when you involve them with your infrastructure deployment. They become stakeholders in it. They will make sure that things work. Because even if all they're using is Facebook or WhatsApp on the infrastructure, it becomes our infrastructure, and they will guard it beyond your expectation. Last but not the least is not to forget the academia and hospitals in these build-outs. It doesn't cost service providers much to build these things into their CSR. Once you have an army of people who rely on your service, then they become your champions who ensure that you remain up, even in the face of adversity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend, for those wise words. So, free internet for police stations, civil defense corps installations, so that they can feel it when the service goes down. I think it makes sense. Oh, the money to do it. Okay. I think that's a good roundup of the things that we could do. And just to take a few of them again, naming and shaming, free business idea for anybody, so that a portal where you can report who sabotaged your fiber, where, if you did get to catch them. Adefemi had a comment? Free business idea, really. Just small royalty when you make it work. Also, engaging government to look at. But Reverend had an experience. I think Anambra State, there was something about free right of way. How's that going? It's going very well. So connectivity is on the up and up there. And has the government started to make money back? Or is it future money that... Okay, thank you.
So there's a provider that came to Anambra State and said, I want to deploy. I would run my fiber. I would drop it along the line at every government institutions to core. And it's a sweet deal. That's what the government took. And so, if the service goes down, the government is on its toes, looking for where it is down. Not even the provider, because government service runs on the infrastructure. So you must partner with government. There are a lot of things we try to do as providers that is reinventing the wheel. Government buys services. Let me repeat that. Government buys services. When you get government to buy your service, you are home and dry.
Okay, so, but does the government buy from just one source now? Because if that first provider is the one who's laid the, what's the solution for the others who want to do similar
there
things?
is another provider that came and said, we'll dig ducts, we'll allow open access so that anybody who wants to lay fiber in them can put their fiber. And the government went for the two. So the two are coexisting without a problem.
Sounds very good.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing, sir. Okay, the other point was operators need to be more generous, but I see BCN was shaking his head kind of about generosity. How are we going to fund the free infrastructure? So I guess we still need to sit down and look at how that could work. CSR, infrastructure tax refund, or what's that thing called? Yeah, corporate social responsibility, but I think there's something about infrastructure tax refunds that the government has, so maybe it can be slid in under that. So it's not just roads that you're getting infrastructure credits for. I think that's something that we could look into. Yeah, free internet access for police stations and the likes, and then academia. I think that's still a serious area that we should look into, and that should also drive our backbone deployments, right? Yeah, so those are the few I have for now. Thank you to the gentleman from Broad-Based who also talked about, who started the conversation about how we should actually police one another and try to improve our services. So Atifemi and Abraham, last words for us here before I hand it back to Joshua and Obina, I think. Let you go ahead.
From my own side, I think what we've discussed here today, I still remain on that point, need to be carried out. It's not just about we talking about it every time without putting them into use, or without we having someone to take action to this. Basically, that's it.
You're very passionate about this. You're in Lagos.
Yes.
I'm in Abuja. I can be the errand boy that delivers the messages once you join that group to help us pass specific actions.
Thing that I observe in Nigeria that we are lacking is ISPs. We don't have a community of ours. Yeah, we have ATCON, but it's different from, I'm the CEO of this, you are the CEO of that. We rub minds. This we have where we're coming from. And we're expecting something like this. Because if I have you as a friend, I'm very sure my Mr. Ibrahim is having friend from another exchange that they talk together. Madam Funke and Medallion, they have a group conversation together. I think we need something like that in ISP to help ourselves.
So we're going back to the ISP Association. There used to be one, so maybe we look at reviving that again, so that we're trying to solve problems for a similar set of operators. Okay, thank you very much for that recap. Abraham?
Okay, I just would have to say this. Understanding where we started from and some of the challenges we've had to overcome, it's not our desire that new players would have to go through the same. So if you're in here, you have dreams, you have desires in the area of internet service provisioning, just talk to us. It's never about money. We'll get you started and give you all the necessary support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abraham. So more ISPs, you want to start up, you can talk to these guys who have the experience and they can show you, well, help you save efforts anyway. Thank you very much to you all. You've been wonderful. I've enjoyed this session and I really look forward to us actually taking 1-2 steps so that by the time we meet again in 1 year, we'll be saying, this is where we've gone based on what we did arising out of the conversations. Thank you very much. A round of applause for my panelists, please. Thank you.
Thank you.